Antiques Roadshow guest left stunned as terrifying family heirloom could be worth a fortune. The mother and daughter standing before antiques expert Stephen Moore could hardly believe their ears. What had once been a source of childhood nightmares, a bizarre, unsettling ornament known affectionately as Ernie, might now be worth a small fortune. As the Antiques Roadshow segment unfolded at the Woodhorn Museum in Northumberland, Moore delved deeper into the peculiar history of the Martin Brothers pottery piece. The mismatched bird's head and frog-like body had clearly left an impression, not just on the family, but on the expert himself. The mysterious origins of Ernie. The Martin Brothers, a renowned Victorian pottery firm, were famous for their eccentric and often grotesque designs. Robert Wallace Martin, the creative force behind many of their strangest creations, had a flair for imbuing his pieces with unsettling character. "This is classic Martin Brothers," Moore explained, turning the ornament over in his hands. They were known for their stoneware grotesques, often bird-like, sometimes monstrous, always unique. But what makes yours particularly interesting is that it's a marriage of two separate pieces. The daughter nodded, recalling her grandparents' story. "They bought it in the 1960s from an antique shop. My grandmother loved it, but my grandfather was the one who surprised her with it after a premium bonds win. I don't think she ever expected it to be worth anything. It was just Ernie." Moore chuckled. "And now Ernie could be your ticket to a very nice payday." The hunt for the missing pieces. The expert went on to explain that while the current valuation of £6,000 for the head and base separately was impressive, the real treasure lay in tracking down the missing halves. "These were never meant to be together," Moore said. "The head belongs to one complete piece, and the base to another. If you could somehow reunite them with their original counterparts, each complete piece could fetch between £30,000 and £35,000 at auction." The mother's eyes widened. "So you're saying if we found the other head and the other body, then you'd be looking at over £60,000, Moore confirmed. "The market for Martin Brothers grotesques is incredibly strong. Collectors love their weirdness, their rarity, and the sheer craftsmanship behind them." The daughter laughed. "All these years we thought Ernie was just a creepy heirloom. Now we find out he might be the most valuable thing we own. A family relic, or a life-changing sale." The big question, of course, was whether the family would consider selling. The daughter hesitated. "It's not really about the money. Ernie's been in the family for decades. He's part of our history, even if he did scare me and my brother half to death as kids." Moore nodded understandingly. "Sentimental value is priceless. But if you ever do decide to part with him, there are specialist auction houses that handle Martin Brothers pieces. And who knows, maybe one day the missing pieces will turn up." The mother, still processing the revelation, shook her head in amazement. "To think, all these years we had no idea. My parents would never have believed it." The legacy of the Martin Brothers. As the segment wrapped up, Moore took a moment to explain why the Martin Brothers' work remains so highly sought after. "Robert Wallace Martin and his brothers were true originals," he said. "At a time when most pottery was decorative and refined, they embraced the strange, the comical, and the macabre. Their pieces were handcrafted, often one of a kind, and they had a dark sense of humor. That's why collectors today are willing to pay top dollar." He pointed out the intricate details on Ernie's face, the bulging eyes, the slightly open beak, the textured feathers. "This is artistry. It's not just a pot, it's a character, and that's what makes it so special." What's next for Ernie? As the family walked away from the valuation table, they were left with a dilemma: keep Ernie as a beloved, if unsettling, family heirloom, or begin the hunt for his missing halves in hopes of a life-changing windfall. The daughter grinned. "I think we'll hold on to him for now. But maybe we'll start keeping an eye out at antique fairs. You never know, the other pieces might be out there somewhere." Moore smiled. "That's the thrill of antiques. There's always another discovery waiting to be made." For now, Ernie the grotesque bird-frog hybrid remains safely in the family's possession, no longer just a childhood terror, but a potential treasure waiting to be fully uncovered. And as for the Antiques Roadshow audience, they were left with yet another unforgettable reminder that sometimes the most unlikely items can turn out to be the most valuable of all.